always been a huge admirer of John's work. John's been involved in airport expansion campaigns for years, bringing all the communities together to combat isolationism and share stories about how best to tackle airport expansion and the problems that go along with it. And so I've always been a great fan of John's work. What would you say are the key winning streaks of the Heathrow campaign, for example?
I think one of the key things, Dan, was that we brought a coalition of all sorts of people together, not just local residents, but activists, direct action activists, local authorities, environmental groups. So together we were much more powerful, and together we were able to tackle the power of the aviation industry and the power of government. We also brought forth a whole range of issues: climate change, noise, and we tackled their main concern, economics. They always say all these things are needed for the health of the economy. We challenged that for the first time, and we challenged it successfully. And I think the final thing that we did was that we campaigned in our own terms. We didn't wait and go to their public consultation or their public inquiry. We did our own thing, we produced our own reports, we had our own public meetings, and as you well know, we had effective direct action, which took the fight to the enemy. You want to tell us a bit about the direct action you were involved with?
So, Plain Stupid was one of the groups within the whole coalition of groups who were taking action on airport expansion and supporting alternatives. And over the years, there's been a wealth of kind of creative actions and publicity stunts to put the issue to the top of the political agenda. So there's been direct interventions, which is stopping emissions where possible, protests and flash mobs within the airports themselves, where people who live under the flight paths all turn up at the airport at the same time, reveal their T-shirts which say "Stop Airport Expansion," and also taking their issue and the concerns to the powers that be. Myself, I won an award for winning. I won an award for working with communities affected by airport expansion.
This is a big moment, wasn't it?
This is the big
moment. Tell us a story about yourself as the Prime Minister.
In 2008, so I was invited to good old 10 Downing Street because I've been working mainly in Glasgow with communities under the flight path there, affected by noise pollution and the health problems and everything there. And so then I won this award, and it was strange because Gordon Brown, who at the time supported the Heathrow third runway expansion, was the patron of the campaigning organisation. But I was winning the award off him, and I was like, that's a bit strange, getting off the guy who's wedded to the aviation industry, winning it for stopping airport expansion.
What did you decide to do?
So I thought, well, I didn't. My friend actually said, when I was like, well, what can I do to highlight this hypocrisy? And she said, well, why don't you superglue yourself to him as a joke? And I was like, you know what, that's a very good idea. And she was like, no, don't superglue yourself to the Prime Minister. So in the principles and the ethos of, you know, peaceful action, civil disobedience, our right to protest, that's exactly what I did. And so practiced for a few weeks with my housemate about how best to superglue my hand to his sleeve when I was picking up the award and shaking his hand. And what I said to him was, I was very nervous at the time, you know, thank you for the award, but actually it's time that we did something about climate change. You can run away from my arm eventually, but you can't run away from climate change. It's time we stood up to the bullies of BAA, the British aviation industry, and stood up for the British public.
And of course this sort of thing got a huge amount of coverage, as you might expect, in the UK. Plain Stupid also went onto the roof of the Houses of Parliament in London, and that sort of thing meant that there was ways in which we took the fight to the aviation industry, to the government, and it was a crucial way, I think, in which we successfully stopped the third runway at Heathrow, which was the biggest defeat that the aviation industry has ever had in the UK, and probably right across Europe.
And there's been so many campaigns and community actions all over the UK, from Glasgow to Aberdeen to Southend to London, all over London, where communities who think they're alone, but actually when you get people together and say, actually, oh, well, I'm facing noise pollution and I've been woken up every morning for the past however many years, far too early to think about, you know, along with other issues, it's really important that people get together, realise that they're not alone, and can do something together about it.
And when we come across the States, we hope to be saying a lot more about this and meeting you folks there and hearing your stories in the States.
Very much looking forward to it, because at the end of the day, it's so important that alternatives are supported, and that there's alternative, sustainable rail transport systems. You can't try and stop airport expansion without having an alternative, because people obviously and understandably want to travel. So at the same time, we're pushing to have, you know, pioneering examples of sustainable rail methods all over the US as well. And so it's really exciting that in the very process of organising Aviation Justice Express, loads of communities and people have come together.
It's great, and we'll be there in October for the month of October, travelling from New York, Chicago, the Bay Area around San Francisco, Los Angeles, up to Seattle, and going all the way by train, won't we, Dan?
Yep.
Excellent.
Look forward to seeing you there. Get in touch. All the information's on aviationjustice.org.
See you then.
See you then.